Testing. 1, 2, 3.
I wanted to try out these new mics in our very fancy mic holders.
These are the Jordan 3 J Balvins.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm here with my brother Kevin, and we're going to be doing a little bit of a different video where I will be interviewing him about his 6-figure shoe business that he's running. He started this business back when he was in high school, and now he's a junior in college. So I wanted to ask him a few questions about his journey and learn about what he does in his free time. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone first?
My name is Kevin. I'm 20 years old. I'm currently a junior in college. I go to WashU in St. Louis, where I'm in business, double majoring accounting and entrepreneurship. And I've had my sneaker reselling business since, as Joy said earlier, since I was 15. So it's been a bit over 5 years now.
Could you tell us a little bit more about what sneaker reselling actually is?
So sneaker reselling at its core is just, reselling sneakers. I'm buying shoes from people and then selling them to other people. I'm not creating any shoes. These are, your everyday Nike products or Adidas products that I'm buying typically in bulk from my suppliers and then breaking up into individual orders to reach end consumers. I run my business primarily through Instagram. I have 2 pages, KC Resells and Prolific Kickz. KC Resells is where I first started. This is primarily B2B, so business to business transactions where I'm buying in bulk and also going to be selling in bulk as well. So I kind of take a middleman position there. And then Prolific Kickz is more of my selling front, which goes directly to consumers. I have a physical storefront in St. Louis on campus in WashU, and that's where I reach end consumers.
Great. Thank you for kind of setting the scene to those of us out there who might not be familiar with the sneaker shoe business. How did you get into the shoe business? I feel like that seems a little bit random for a high schooler to just find out about.
So back in my sophomore year of high school, which was a bit over 5 years ago, I had another friend, Ecom, who resold shoes at the time. And every day in Spanish class, we'd sit there and we'd be going for sneaker releases, profitable sneaker releases. And at the time, I didn't resell shoes. So if I got the shoe, I would just be getting it for him and he would pay me a little bit on the side. But I saw what he was doing. It was pretty cool. And I thought I should give this a try myself.
That actually reminds me, way back when you started, I remember he would text me sometimes and be like, oh, Nike's doing a shoe release at 9 a.m. Like, you have to get this shoe and this shoe for this size and this size.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I only got 1 shoe ever. 1 or 2.
Yeah, they were pretty difficult to get back in day, for especially like the really profitable ones. And fun fact, when I first started, I actually didn't really have much money of my own, so it was actually using Joy's credit card to buy these shoes initially. I don't know if you still remember that, but it wasn't my very first shoe, but my second and third shoes I remember. It was a Jordan 5 Michigan and Yeezy 500 Bone Whites. Both of them were charged on her card, which was like $500 because each one retailed for around like $250. That's when I was still trying to figure out what I was doing. So I sat on those shoes for probably a couple months. Eventually, thankfully, I started to figure it out.
Do they still do shoe drops today, or do you not go for those anymore?
They have even more releases now. Like the sneaker market has changed so much in the past 5 years. So nowadays, most sneaker releases aren't really profitable. I don't really do retail anymore. Most of what I do is just like working with my connections and getting supply from them and then selling to my clientele that I built up over the years. But I'm not really touching the retail side anymore.
Okay, great. Thank you for the introduction to yourself and your business. So now I want to get into some more business-focused questions. My first question is, how have you grown your business over the past few years? Because I remember you started at home, upstairs in your room and in your closet, and then eventually you scaled up and started having your own workshop, workspace down in our basement, a whole room dedicated to doing shoe stuff.
Over the past like 5+ years, there's been a lot of growth in terms of volume. Like as you mentioned, I first started this. I could keep all the shoes just in my room in one of the shelves on my closet because it was a handful of pairs. But that I slowly outgrew that at which point I extended that into the hallway that like spreads between our rooms.
Yeah.
I'm sure you remember like.
Yes.
Half the stairway was just boxes of shoes stacked up to the ceiling, and then the other half was where we could actually walk through.
Yeah.
But I pretty quickly outgrew that as well, and then at that point you had graduated college, so you weren't living in your room anymore. So I took over Joy's room as my inventory storage. Then once again I outgrew that space, and then I moved it down into our basement where it's been running since.
We have a dedicated room for Kevin with a bunch of shelves and all his shoe boxes in there, a little table for an office space. Our dad actually renovated the space for him.
I was using the basement up until like I started college, at
Right.
which point I had to, bring it with me over to St. Louis. I was running it out of my dorm for a while until housing found out about it, and they have rules against running a business out of a dorm. So my business got kicked out of there. I didn't get kicked out, but thankfully our cousins also live in St. Louis, so I was able to move everything over to their house and run the business out of there.
Awesome. Awesome. How much inventory are we talking here? It sounds like you're getting a lot of packages coming in for the dorms to find out about it. And then also sounds like a lot of work to move inventory between school and home. Like, how did you manage that?
Yeah, so it's definitely scaled up over the years. I didn't always have as much inventory as I have now. Like right now, on a typical day, I'll probably have roughly 1,000 to 1,200 pairs of inventory just kept in stock. But back in the day, as you remember, I started with just 1 or 2 pairs, and I would reinvest the profits I made off the shoes, and then be able to afford more shoes at one time. And then slowly, it's just grown from there.
Very cool. So what's the difference between a small business where the owner makes their own products and sells them versus kind of like a reselling business model?
The primary difference is that I'm not responsible for manufacturing the product. So when I need new inventory, I need to source it out. I need to go buy it from suppliers. I don't have the ability to physically make more and adjust for demand that way. Let's take holiday season, for example. That's like November, end of November, December. Those are like peak volume times within the sneaker reselling industry as well as the overall economy. If I was a manufacturing business, then I would be able to prep for that adequately. In November, I would make a bunch of inventory and have that sitting there ready to fulfill demand as it comes in December.
Right.
But with my business, it's a bit harder to plan for that because I have to actually go out and find this inventory at prices that make sense for me to invest into. And so that's one of the big differences to me.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So kind of along the same vein, because you have to source all of your shoes and you're not making your own products, are you ever worried that the market might go away or people will just buy directly from Nike or Adidas?
Yeah, so it's really all just supply and demand. That's what created the sneaker resale market in the first place. There's these limited sneaker drops with limited stock, and they will pretty much instantly sell out on retail sites on release, like Nike, for example. And from there, that's where the resale market comes into play because people want the shoe. They can't buy it from Nike, so where are they going to go? Other people who have the shoe. And that's where resellers kind of come in and they'll be able to fulfill that demand there.
That's pretty cool. So basically, if the store doesn't have it because it's sold out, you can't contact Nike and say, hey, can you make more of this shoe? But if you found a good reseller, like Kevin, for example, you can be like, hey, can you find this shoe for me? And then you can look within your network.
Exactly.
And get access to that shoe. Okay. So I know earlier you mentioned that you have 2 sneaker reselling businesses. Essentially, you have KC Resells, which is business to business, buy in bulk, sell in bulk. And then you have Prolific Kickz, which is more geared towards direct to consumer. Mm-hmm. What would you say are the differences between running those 2 businesses and which one has worked out to be more profitable for you?
As a whole, just in business in general, B2B, business to business is pretty much always going to be easier just because as long as you can find that market positioning for yourself where there's a market gap or arbitrage opportunity between your supplier's price and your buyer's price, there's going to be opportunity to make money there. Those people, when you're supplying stores on a B2B front, they're always going to be needing inventory. Since they're selling to end consumers, the better they're doing, the more inventory they're going to need, and they're going to come to me to fulfill that inventory. Whereas when I'm selling directly to consumers, I actually need to build that customer base myself. There's going to be less repeat clients because the everyday person isn't buying shoes every single week.
Yeah.
Whereas on the B2B side, some stores are making orders from me literally every single week. That's one of the big differences. I think it's easier with B2B because you can establish those connections there. You need to do less marketing of yourself because you don't need to have as much reach, whereas if you're B2C, marketing is everything. Getting the word out, letting people know that your brand exists is really just a big part of that.
Okay, very cool. I just now realized that B2B is business to business and B2C is business to consumer.
Yes.
Because I used to think it was just like A, B, and C.
Oh, no.
So they're like B2B, A to B. There's no A to B, though.
No.
Okay. Great. We learn new things every day.
Well, A to B is a different concept. That's just like saying you're taking it from one spot to another.
Oh,
that's
okay.
not like related
right.
to
That's not business. Okay, cool. A little fun question. I'm sure you do have repeat customers from your B2C business side. What has been the most number of shoes one person has bought from you to wear themselves, not to resell?
That's a great question. I honestly don't know the answer to that. There definitely are customers who are wearing these shoes who have made repeat purchases. I'd guess it would be around 5.
5 shoes?
Five shoes. Typically, people are buying shoes one at a time.
So since you have some experience running a B2C business as well, do you have any tips on networking or building a customer and client base?
I think nowadays and more recently, I found the most success within marketing on social media because a lot of people are on social media nowadays. You can easily run ads on places like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. These are all great places to run ads and get your name brand out, especially with targeted ads where they can find people in a certain region, a certain age group, certain interests, things like that. Like Instagram specifically, it's really good for reaching new clientele.
Okay, cool. Do you run ads on these pages on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok?
I used to. When I first started reselling, I was more focused on that B2C side. I wanted to grow my clientele of end consumers since in theory they're willing to pay the highest because they actually want to wear the shoes and they don't need that extra room for profit themselves. But I've found more success within the B2B side, so I do less of that marketing nowadays just because I honestly, I don't think I need it when I have the network already established of my consistent buyers and consistent suppliers.
Okay, very cool. So I see a lot of shoe resellers selling on Instagram, and I feel like it could be harder to reach customers online. Like if you had a store, then people could come in, try on the shoes, and you could reach more customers that way. Is that always the end goal for an Instagram reseller who's trying to sell to people to open up a store? And if so, what are the challenges in going from an online business to an in-person, in-store business? Since you mentioned you run a sneaker store on the WashU campus.
So starting with that first part, I think for some people, the end goal might be to open up a sneaker store someday. But for other people, sneaker reselling is always just going to be kind of like a side hustle. And so they're not really focused on scaling to the point of opening an actual physical storefront. They're just there to build their clientele online. To the second point you mentioned about like the differences with a storefront versus online selling, having opened my store back in March of last year now, 2024, I'd say one of the big differences is that you're limited by the people who are walking through your storefront. For me, being located on campus, before I opened, in theory, it was like, oh, this is so cool. I'm gonna have a physical space, it's gonna be located on campus. That's so convenient, right? But at the same time, that really limited my pool of potential customers to only students who are in that area. Whereas stores who are in a mall have people coming in and out literally every day since they're also visiting other stores. The only people who are walking by my store would just be other students or faculty or staff on campus, or people who are specifically going out of their way to come visit my store. Location is really important in terms of where you're putting a storefront.
Today we are here on the WashU campus at the Prolific Kickz store. Let's take a look inside and see what the actual storefront looks like.
Welcome to Prolific Kickz.
Hi, thank you. Could you give us a tour of your store?
Yeah, so these are all our display shelves here. Right now, it's kind of empty because with winter break, there's no students on campus and there was no reason to leave everything here. So sold a lot of it online, but this is what's currently left here. On our display shelves, we have a nice mirror there for customers to use when they're trying on their shoes. We get over here, this is the checkout desk. We've got keychains and crease guards as some accessories as well.
Oh, awesome.
And then if we head into the back, this is where the right shoes are kept as well as the sneaker boxes. Yeah, you can pull the curtain over.
Oh,
and
shower
see
curtain?
back here. This is probably as neat as it gets just because there's a lower quantity in here right now. Boxes are all here. So the shelving kind of follows like a snake pattern because it's a pretty small space. So just to fit everything inside, first you can come over here. And then it curves over and you can get around to the other shelf as well. And so everything in here is pretty much just organized based on style. So this shelf right here is mainly for Jordan 1s. This side of this other shelf is for Jordan 3s, 4s, the Jordans that aren't Jordan 1s. And then this last part here is for all the dunks.
Okay, so it looks like you have tons of inventory options here. What is the most popular shoe or style of shoe that students or faculty like to go for?
I'd say there's two answers to that question. The first, just in general, being dunk lows. These are still pretty popular even now in 2025. And then the second option, I would say, would be these Jordan 3 Reimagines. It's just a nice neutral tone shoe, and it's very clean, very popular.
Cool. Hi, Kevin. I would like to purchase these.
Sounds good. Let me get that boxed up for you. This is a size 9. It's gonna be up here. So these are the Jordan 3 Cement Reimagines. And so the Jordan 3 Cements first released back in 1990 something. I'm not entirely sure, but this was a re-release of that same colorway. With the reimagined look, you can see it's got that kind of cream midsole here. And that's in contrast to the original shoe, which was all white, just to give it that kind of faded or worn look to it. The box is brand new, and once again, that's just part of the design. With the reimagined look, just that look of being old or dusty to add to that feel.
And how much does this shoe go for?
This one is $310.
Wow.
Every order comes with a little bag. Boxed up bag. And then we power up Square.
Oh, an iPad checkout system. Boop.
Thanks for your purchase.
Oh, thank you so much.
For watching this video, we are giving away 5 free keychains to
Ooh.
5 lucky winners, and Joy will go over the rules.
Thank you so much for showing me around your store. It looks fantastic, and I wish you best of luck with your business this year.
Thank you.
Bye. So like Kevin mentioned earlier, we'll be doing a giveaway at the end of this video. So don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and also go follow Kevin's shoe stores on Instagram, link down below, and you will be entered to win a free keychain. We will choose 5 different winners, and considering I don't have very many subscribers, you are very likely to win. So leave a comment down below if you did all of the steps, and we will send you a cute little shoe keychain for free.
In relation to an online business really has infinite reach as far as your marketing goes to building up like that online network.
Right. Have any teachers or faculty ever bought a shoe from your store before?
Yeah, actually.
Oh,
So
really?
there's been a good number who have just stopped by just to check it out, but then
Nice.
other people they kind of like refer other people as well. There's actually a cop who works at WashU who has come by repeatedly. He's also a pretty big sneakerhead, and he's made repeat purchases, so that's been pretty cool as well.
Nice. Okay, so if you made it to this point of the video and you ever visit the Prolific Kickz store and you subscribe and like this video, you'll get 10% off your purchase. It sounds like you're doing a lot. You're running your online Instagram businesses. You have 2 of those. You're running a store in person. How do you manage splitting up your time between making sure your business still runs smoothly and also doing classes, taking finals? Because it can't be easy balancing both at the same time.
It definitely gets challenging at times trying to balance a business with school at the same time. For me, it all comes down to just time management. As I've scaled my business over the past few years and have put increasingly more time into it, I think that's allowed me to kind of figure out where my limits are in terms of how much time I can put into this versus that, and whether one day I might not be able to hang out with my friends because I need to get this schoolwork done so I can work on my business tomorrow. And a lot of it is just sacrifices of what would be free time that turn into, working on my business or in school, just to really maintain that balance.
Wow, that's really good advice, because my free time is spent on TikTok. So unfortunately, I could probably take all of that time and start a business myself.
Yeah.
You think so? How much time do you think you put into your business every week?
I know like freshman and sophomore year, it was around 40 hours every week. So it was essentially a full-time job on top of going to classes and keeping up school. I think this year with junior year, I worked a little less just because I have the proper systems in place that allow me to work a little more efficiently than I did in those earlier stages of my business. I'd say like this past semester it's been closer to 25, 30 hours a week, which is still a considerable amount, but definitely not as much as freshman and sophomore year.
Wow, that's crazy. And I'm going to toot his horn a little bit here. He is a straight A student with a very high GPA.
Almost straight A.
Yeah, much higher than mine was back in college without running a business. So I would say that's pretty impressive and that's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Okay, that's awesome. So it sounds like you've scaled your business up over the past 5 years and you've generated a pretty good stream of income for yourself. Do you have any tips for aspiring entrepreneurs who want to either start up their own business, go into the shoe business specifically, or kind of just break into the market here?
For literally anyone wanting to start a business, doesn't have to be sneaker reselling, could be anything. I'd say my biggest tip is just go for it. Like, just start it. You know, it's not gonna be perfect when you first start it. You're gonna be learning things, figuring things out, and just by like jumping at any opportunity you see and kind of like taking that chance is really, I'd say, the biggest thing that will help you succeed as an entrepreneur. Because even in those earlier stages, sometimes I'd be afraid to reach out to people or afraid to make a purchase, and taking advantage of those opportunities would have definitely helped me scale my business more quickly.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you for the advice. Thank you for your time. I just have one more question before we wrap up this interview. Where do you see yourself and your business 1 year from now?
I'll have graduated college by then, since I'm graduating in 3.5, so I'll be done this December. And my current plan is I'm going to be doing this sneaker reselling business full time for maybe a year or two. From there, I'm just building capital and then seeing where that takes me.
Awesome. That sounds like a pretty solid plan. Thank you so much for your time, sharing your tips and your experiences. If you guys enjoyed watching this video, leave a comment down below. And if you guys want to learn more about Kevin and his business, or if you want to see his office space or how he runs his business, he loves talking about that. He also has a YouTube channel and a TikTok.
Instagram, KC Resells. YouTube is my name, but if you search up KC Resells, I think it should pop up too. And then TikTok, KC Resells as well.
And that's a wrap. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.